I mean, the dialogue around them has certainly changed, and I want to get into the process, but at least the dialogue around short sales has definitely changed.
Well, yeah, the dialogue is changing, and the most often question for me is, hey, are you still doing short sales? And the answer that I give usually surprises people because we're still doing them in record numbers. And although I think a couple of years from now we'll see less short sales than we have, but I think we're going to be busy for the next couple of years doing this. I was just reading on Realty Track that 2013 and 2014 are being predicted as record years for short sales. Just as you hear all the positive news out there, I'm still consulting with the same amount of people every week, and I'm still hearing stories, people having really rough times, and some people that are still upwards of 35 to 50% upside down, even though we've hit bottom and it looks like we're turning the corner.
So when somebody is in that position, I mean, certainly waiting a little bit of time as the market goes up, I mean, almost exponentially, it seems like. I mean, is there an element of giving people like, hey, this might be how long it takes? It might only take a year to get back to even. It might only take 18 months.
Yeah, absolutely. All you can do at this point is, and it's kind of what our short sale calculator does, is, you're plugging in your information, you've got your loan balance, you've got your interest rate, and that's going to let you know how long it could take to break even. And if you're, doing okay, and if a year works for you, yeah, that may be something that you want to consider. But I'm seeing some larger numbers out there as well, where it's still going to be 5, 7, 10 plus years, for many people to recover. Or if you're in a condominium complex, where values plummeted, 50 to 70%. Now there's some HOA issues. That's a totally different story. So I think I've got some work in front of me. That's for sure.
It's good for you.
Yeah.
So Wes, with prices changing so quickly, certainly the process of a short sale must have changed a little bit.
I would say that the process has not changed all that much, but the market, has changed. So, we're going to see banks treating these, a little bit differently. So, it goes without saying that short sales are pretty unpredictable. One can flow really easily and the other one can be like pulling teeth. And it's just there's so many moving pieces, and so many different decision makers. And every investor and every bank has a different role that they play, and they have different reasons that they make those different decisions. And I just want to really caution everybody right now who's in the short sale world or just the real estate world. I think the biggest thing that we're facing right now is asking for extensions. Believe it or not, getting the short sale approval is not the hardest thing for us. It's probably asking for an extension.
Why is that? At first, why would somebody need an extension? And then why is it such a big deal to ask for one?
Yeah, good questions. Typically in an approval letter, you've got about 30 days to close. And, that seems pretty reasonable for, amount of time, if your financing is set. But there could be any number of reasons that somebody needs longer. I think typically it comes down to organization or a lack of organization. But as you stated earlier in the previous segment, things can come up in appraisals. Things can come up in the building inspection that all of a sudden a lender is calling out, needing to be fixed, and now you're in a short sale situation. Well, who's gonna fix that? And if something needs to be done prior to closing, well, now you have
somebody's got to come out of pocket.
Somebody's going to have to come out of pocket, and that takes additional time. But I'd say 9 out of 10 deals that are asking for an extension, it just comes down to a buyer's financing not being ready for whatever reason.
And is that? I mean, we've seen it, and a lot of times it's this. I think in a short sale, it's this lack of preparation. They get pre-approved. And then they look first, maybe it takes 2 or 3 months for the short sale to go through. And now the lender maybe has not kept up to date with the right documents. And so now they're ready to go. They have 30 days, and all the documents that they were supposed to have in are now out of date, and it's almost starting over.
Yeah, it sure feels like that. That's what's going on. It's become such a problem that we've required the lenders to commit to getting the process done within 30 days. And, a commitment is kind of worth the piece of paper that it's written on, but it's more of a mindset. Hey, we expect this to get done in 30 days or less. And, when you're waiting in that waiting period, that 60 days to get short sale approval, you should have everything geared up. And, especially with our deals, with buyers doing their inspections on the front end, when you get that short sale approval, you should be ordering that appraisal on the first or second day. And that should give us plenty of time to close within 30 days. Mm-hmm. But it's not happening all the time. Actually, it doesn't happen very often at all.
Huh. Need some new lenders, Wes.
Well, who should I be talking to, Ben?
Jeez, I don't know. I know some people.
I've heard this great thing about Cobalt. What do you know about them?
They're pretty good. They do close the purchases on time.
Outstanding.
Wes Jones is here with us, partner of Home Helper Consultants. Wes, so when people are going through this process, and now all of a sudden they need an extension, and what can that do to the deal? I mean, because if the financing isn't getting done, the appraisal has issues, whatever the reason, certainly there must be, a consequence of that.
Well, yeah, I'm concerned about this today, and I wasn't concerned about it in the past. Over the last couple of years, the market was going down. Interest rates were going down. The market was flat at best. So really, the buyers had the upper hand. And if you needed an extension, well, at that point, we kind of felt lucky to even have an offer. And, we were, pretty easy to get one. They were they were working with us because it might be the only thing, on the table. But what's happening now is people are asking for so much time. What they don't realize is a short sale, approval and pieces of the short sale, they have a specific lifespan. And that approval letter is only going to be good for about 30 to 60 days. And then that broker's price opinion, behind, which the bank uses to place value on the property, that's probably good for 60 days tops. So if we're asking for an extension and we're, getting to that 60-day period, now if they've got to, get an extension, hey, we'll grab you guys an extension, but that BPO, that broker's price opinion has expired. So we've got to go get a new broker's price opinion. And, it kind of pains me to say this, but because I don't agree with the banks very often, but they're not dumb. Mm-hmm. They have realized that we are in an appreciating market, or at least a slowly appreciating market. So they're going to take a look at these values very, very carefully.
Well, and sometimes, over the course of a month or two, you could have one or two houses in the same neighborhood go for 10% higher than maybe another one. It's pretty incredible.
Absolutely. So you've got approval and a value from 60 days ago. Now you've got to get a new one. That could take another week to get out there. So you could have a new value 75 days out from where it previously was, and now you've got a problem because the value has come back higher than what was previously approved. So you've got a couple decisions at that point. The buyer can go ahead and step up. We can attempt to challenge that value, or the buyer may not be able to step up and it has to go back out on the open market. So, what I'm saying is, you've got 30 days to get this done the way, the contract was originally written.
But you work with sellers on these often.
That's correct.
And so if a price has then come up, isn't that kind of good for the seller? Like, wait, my deficiency could be less. Maybe it doesn't have to be a short sale anymore. Maybe there's some benefits to that also. Now, maybe the deal doesn't quite get done as fast, but this does maybe put the seller with some better options too, doesn't it?
Yeah, it can limit their liabilities. I think that I don't think we have not run into a case where something has not turned into that was a short sale that's come up so much that still wasn't a short sale. Because at that point, you've got to still factor in the traditional seller-paid closing costs, of 8 to 10%. But yeah, it can certainly limit their liabilities. And I think the first thing that comes to mind would be their tax liability. Mm-hmm. And if their home sells for more, they may be less liable to pay taxes. And on top of that, if you get a higher offer, you've just got a better chance of getting that offer through.
So in some ways, if you're a seller and this happens, you're like, okay, it may take another 30 or 60 days to close, but it can actually be a benefit. So a lot of this advice is geared toward the buyer. Mm-hmm. Hey, if you want to get this done, man, it's go time, because if you don't, the house is going to maybe go up in value, and now not only do you not get the house, but the house may go back on the market for a higher price.
That's right. That's right. As far as the sellers, are concerned, many of the sellers that we're working with do fall under tax relief, already. So whether, it goes up by $10,000 or $20,000, it doesn't mean a whole lot. Just at the end of the day, the deal gets done, and that's what's most important for them.
Yeah.
And that they get to move on.
I guess it really depends on what the importance factor is. I mean, if somebody has $10,000 that they can bring in to maybe make up the difference, and so it's not a short sale.
Right.
You start. It just seems like there's a lot of balls up in the air and a lot of things come into play.
Yeah, there certainly are, and every situation is a little bit different, and every seller has a different motivation to be looking into this.